Is the ADIDAS X Speedflow the best speed boot Adidas has ever made? I'll answer that question, plus tell you the good, the bad, and why you should buy this instead of these. I'm JayMike, and this is the Unisport ADIDAS X Speedflow review.
The Speedflow continues where the Ghosted left off, but now has a sleeker, more aerodynamic shape. The upper is quite simple, a Primeknit upper coated with a silicone film and a thin TPU agility frame cage on the inside for lockdown. All in the name of giving you a complete one-to-one boot-to-foot sensation.
And they actually got that pretty spot on, to be honest. You still get this vacuum sound when you put the boot on, and the fit is tight. Not in an uncomfortable tight way, but you just get this very sock-like and sculpted sensation around your foot everywhere, as cliche as it sounds. And the heel is much softer and frankly better than it was on the Ghosted. Now, the Ghosted itself was also a little bit plasticky in the upper, but here you get a much more adaptive and millimeter precise tight fit all around your boot. And it's something that boosted my confidence just from the way they fit, especially if you go true to size in these, which for me, lengthwise, was perfect with my usual size UK 6. Now, the Speedflow is still on the narrow side, so while you can wear them with a wider foot, they will be very, very tight. But how's the lockdown? Well, I'm kind of the lockdown police here. If the lockdown sucks, I don't want to wear the boot in a match. And the thing is that while the Speedflow will never be world class in terms of lockdown because it is a laceless football boot, and I'll touch a bit more on it later, I have worn it in matches and I haven't hated my life. So it's pretty good for a laceless boot, and in general, it's good enough.
The touch is more than good enough though, at least if you like it close and sharp.
Because a thin upper means a very close and intimate touch on the ball. It's definitely not going to be for everyone because there's literally nothing to add any sort of padding here, but personally, I like it. You get this kind of matte textured feel on the ball with a bit of grip from the Primeknit itself, but it's well balanced and never feels overly sticky. Of course, then you have this completely uninterrupted striking surface, which is always nice, and because of the low, pointy toe box here, I felt like I got well under the ball despite the outsole being raised a little bit. So it is a very raw touch. If you like that, you won't get it much better than with this.
But a raised toe on the outsole? What's that about? Well, Adidas have kept their Carbitex tooling and then raised the toe of the boot to help you feel more explosive when you push off.
And while neither a carbon fiber insert or a raised toe of position is going to make you physically faster, still for me, this is the best speed outsole you can get at the moment because it makes you feel on your toes, it makes you feel ready. And when you push off, it's basically like pushing off into a pair of running start blocks because of how explosive and responsive this thing is. The studs are also pretty good. They dig in well to the ground to give you a secure footing in all directions without any stud pressure so far for me.
So up until now, I've pretty much praised the Speedflow to no end. But there are also a couple annoying things that you need to know about.
I actually wanted to have 5 things, but could only find 4 that really bugged me. And the first thing is protection. The Speedflow is thin, like I said, so there isn't any. The other thing is that the top of the tongue tends to flap down and stay there when you play. Doesn't really matter, but it still annoys me. Then of course, there's also the fact that the upper is soft, but still bulges a bit when you bend your foot. And yes, it's gonna get better as you break them in, but still, And finally, there is lockdown. It's good enough, yeah, but I still felt some movement inside of the Speedflow Plus when I made extreme changes of direction. And if lockdown is important to you too, that might sound like a problem. However, it's not though, because you can just go and get the Speedflow.1, which has an even softer textile upper and, of course, laces, which means you get a more adjustable, more secure fit. And it's very similar to the Speedflow Plus, for good and bad, but with a softer upper and slightly less texture But it's also 30 euros less, and probably what I would go for if I could choose between the two. Think Superfly 4 with that same super soft, very sculpted and razor sharp sensation on the ball, but with a tighter, more locked in fit. It's very good.
So to answer my question from the beginning, yes, in my book, the Speedflow is the best speed boot Adidas has ever made. And to me, it's also up there among the best speed boots ever.
Because for me, it gave me the feeling of being ready and a little bit faster. And sure, it's just a feeling, but that mental edge just made me feel better, and I absolutely love it. So if you love the F50s, these will be your jam. Sure, they're hardcore speed boots, but if you're into that, I can't recommend you anything else than go and get a pair of either the pluses or the .1s, depending on your preference. The pluses are probably the best laceless boot Adidas have ever made, but I'm gonna go for the .1s because of the lockdown. But no matter what you want, you can buy them from Unisport via the link right over there. But not, of course, before you make sure you subscribe to the channels with the notifications on. And with those words, I'll be signing off. Cheerio.